Oh.
So now I will the integrity of and also like dragon. Next phase, attack phase, I don't you dare attack me. I'm an enemy now. What's up, guys? It's Fortnite.
I went to a restaurant based off it. You know, yeah, it's called like Double Gumbo Shrimp.
So this and you guys ready to look at this funniest pranks you guys know. Go up to there just so my corners are protected and you guys can respect. That's a do so. You're forward. I'm gonna start. Yeah, at least I'm yeah.
See, this might be an like the worst kind of juice is going to use. What's the name of this place? I don't remember. I mean, remember? Yeah, don't remember. The only thing you remember is how to drink vodka, you Russian.
Yo, bro, can you make her real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, can you grab my backpack?
Okay.
Yeah, on the left side is my water bottle.
Oh, it's raining outside. Would you like to go to the cinema? The cinema. We should also take the outdoor.
Oh, yeah? At least have a good little... That's nice. So we each own a country. Or... It's back with the classic risk factions. Yes, minus, oh, man.
Hey there, it's me, David Lodge, the voice of Jiraiya the Bigot. That's all because I'm perverted, right? Okay. The Kirby Sage. The Kirby Sage. Not the Turdy Sage. Okay, anyway, I'm the mentor and friend to Naruto. And what an honor to be here with you guys. I think my favorite line would be, there's so many of them, the tale of Naruto Uzumaki. Yes. That has a nice ring to it. Sexy jutsu, please!
Yeah, watch this. He's dead. He doesn't respect you or this channel or us. Correct, yeah. Except for yeah, Dark. I never my turn. Now you're a bond. You only got 5 troops. You're a bond. Good. Oh, God. Oh, my gosh. Oh, you just got shot in the foot, chest. Hang on, are we all gonna own a car? I think we're all gonna get a car. I'm gonna eat grilled cheese today. What? Oh, that is not legal. Don't do that. You can't do that. You think 5 years is gonna be enough for his free shirt? Hey, listen, let's talk about this. I mean, grilled cheese. I need it. I need it. You really own cheese, but give me that. Yeah. Oh, what? This is it.
I promise you, I tipped her drink over by accident. I didn't even mean to do that on purpose.
I told you I could make a good coffee. Why, you didn't believe me?
You know, there's just something about drinking a coffee with your friend. It's just marvelous.
No, isn't it so marvelous? You like to invest, man. Pick up a bit of the makes a nice restaurant.
Can you tell us about the study analysis? Yeah, so the study analysis shows that you should never try. Never try? What you never try? You should check out the menu then. Yeah, just get a bottle of water.
What do you guys have for drinks?
Yeah, so we have a variety of in-house wines, juices, we also have some seltzer.
Can I get a coca?
I promise you.
Come on, no. Hey, so... Usually happens when excessive emotion, grasping, and twisting
doesn't have to be somebody who works outside all day. It doesn't have to be somebody involved in heavy labor.
Just how was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs created? But that's not all there is to it. First, you need a story. Making up funny stories is the job of Walt Disney's writers, gag men, and sketch artists. After much trial and error, several hundred rough drawings illustrating the high points of each story are completed. Let's follow the story into conference, where Walt Disney and his hard-boiled directors look it over. Not a picture, long or short, goes into production without Walt's personal okay. A director whips the script and dialogue into final form. Then
Today's also me and Caroline's 2-year anniversary.
Excusez-moi, who is Caroline? I hope it's not you.
This is like something that's super passionate about.
It like blew my brain. This is the most.
We are all in the video with you.
We've been posting these videos lately, and people like always think it's all.
Well, it looks like it. Have you seen it? What happened? What happened? Like, is it like it?
Posting these videos lately.
It's not ridiculous. You are being beautiful, so thinking everyone else is ridiculous. Everyone can be wrong.
We still have a 26-year age gap.
26? What? Hey, can you please say that again? But this time, say it like someone that is alive as us.
Are excited to get French. She's been excited to get French. I'm not really that hungry though, so I think I'm just gonna get a little snack. A little snack? A croissant.
Have you packed your things for the trip?
Wow. This shirt that you guys gave me is amazing. Not only does it look good, it's super comfortable. Yes, it's super comfortable.
Hey, did you watch the movie that I asked you to? Yes, oh my god, I did. What'd you think of it? I actually really enjoyed it. Oh my god, bro, I really love it. Oh my god, bro. Good shot, yeah. Let's go to the spa.
We still have a 26-year age gap.
26-year-old age? Before he was 29.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't want to drink. He looking like he is drinking for a little.
But it doesn't matter. Right?
So we're going to the Hudson Home of Humane Society to visit with some dogs today.
What's Amish maxing? So Amish maxing is Amish maxing is a trend for young men who can't pick up women.
Bro, you are supposed to be having what you are using technology on TikTok.
To join the Amish, as us Amish are automatically assigned wives if we're not into time on our own.
So you bro was he only pretended to join get space
I have people and go straight to marriage. And the
process, get a fresh start in a new community that's completely removed from the society that has got something to hate. Seeing cute looks of these young men into our community and problem because they obviously don't make very good farmers, so we have to invest a lot of resources into them and a lot of time training them to make them productive members of the community. Not very physically attractive or socially adept. Unfortunately, lead is scared of anything very good.
Subscriptions. And I like to think I keep up with them pretty well, but once I downloaded Rocket Money, they let me.
If anyone knows security, it's me, which is why I like to file wires. Industry.
This guy was not. It was in it like it was a fucking station. It was only an hour. How can you not afford an Apple? Oh, sorry.
Expensive Androids that
It's a zero picture.
So I had a baby 2 months ago, and I just got a hospital bill.
Okay, show us.
First thing is the labor room/delivery room, $13,900.
Was it a palace or a palace in heaven? For that palace, it better be.
And then the bill that says room and board semi-private, that was $19,111.
Wait, they already charged you for the room, now they are charging you for being disabled. What is next charging you for breathing too hard?
And I just got a hospital bill.
Okay, show us.
First thing is $13,000.
So far, yeah, I've been on this blimp this whole time.
How to bypass Sora AI. Hey, sweet.
Want to bypass the copyright restrictions? Here's a tutorial made by Raxis and some add-ons by me. First, ask your AI to make a fight, then tell them to describe them without saying their name, or indirectly describe them. Now, sometimes, if the ChatGPT doesn't describe the character correctly, Sora AI will make random characters that look similar to the actual characters you are trying to put in. For example, Luffy, Goku, etc. What you can do if it goes wrong is to ask ChatGPT to describe the character more accurately. Right in this photo, for example. You copy and paste the prompt, put it into notes or whatever.
Sora 2 bypass tutorial. First, ask ChatGPT.
Mr. President. Last swing. This is a scorcher.
Or go to bed before I whoop your ass. You got school in the morning.
Slide through. Bag for the chair and a little something extra for you. Y'all been nice.
Stars all fall.
Hey, hold on. Stop right there. Sure. You're a cool cat, no doubt. But this business, this stage, you are not cut out for it. I'm sorry.
Next. How you holding up, Ray?
So far.
This next one is called Dragon's Breath.
Smoke weed for the whole 9 yards.
Well, let's see if we can hit a high note. Cheers, my friend. How you holding?
Stepping up to the big red.
Another tie. 15 years in a row.
Gears of War has won on PlayStation this most reporting that although someone went out there and said, hey, we had 1.3 million players for Gears of War Reloaded, if you break down those statistics, 5,000 of those are on PlayStation, which means around about 1.1 million are over on Xbox. And it's also worth noting, and sadly, or whatever the reality of this is, that as much as Microsoft and Xbox get out there and say, look, we have all these players, on the Xbox side, that player number determination thing will be including Game Pass players as well. It's not like they've had over 1 million sales. But it is really interesting. I think, as someone who grew up with Gears of War, grew up in a massive, Xbox 360 fan, huge Xbox fan from the very beginning, remember how much of a big, earth-shaking deal Gears of War was. The idea that would be finally coming over to PlayStation feels like something that just should have been stop the presses, take a minute, everyone's going to flock over there and play the game. It should have been one of those events, and it was a big deal, when it dropped. We got Helldivers 2 over on Xbox on the same day that Gears of War came with PlayStation, and that was very much a ceasefire day in regards to the console wars or whatever you want to call it. But while Helldivers 2 is doing incredibly well over on Xbox, Gears of War isn't doing the same on PlayStation. I think there are a handful of reasons why. It is worth pointing out, though, before we go any further, that it's not an Xbox thing. It's not like you have armies of PlayStation fans who are so fanboyish that they're just rejecting Xbox titles. Because Sea of Thieves blew up last year. That sold over 1 million copies. Forza Horizon 5 earlier this year sold over 3 million copies, and that was only in the first couple of months of release, coming out in April and blowing past 3 million after a couple of months on sale. So it's not like the hunger isn't there in regards to Xbox properties finally launching on PlayStation. You might have seen some of these titles in the top 10 trending on the PlayStation Network anyway. So like I said, there is a hunger there. This is more of a specific problem either with Gears of War and a franchise or with the way that the Reloaded Edition was rolled out. Because that is to say that Gears of War Reloaded is pretty much Gears of War Ultimate Edition from 2015. Ostensibly, this is a 4K 60, I was going to say overhaul, but upgrade of the Ultimate Edition that dropped 10 years ago. You do have 120 frames a second multiplayer mode.
I don't do any of the housewife
Player mode in Reloaded, that's an upgraded version of what was there before. But for the vast majority, you are just getting access to the Ultimate Edition that was already available all those years ago. And for the most part, a lot of the graphical, comparisons that are being done, it's not that big of a step up. And there's also the conversation around how the tone has kind of changed in regards to certain, scenes that were a lot darker, certain enemies that were portrayed in different ways, different graphical touches that have been made to the Reloaded version of Gears of War, where the grime and the grit and the, like I said, the overall tonality just fit a lot better either in the original 2006 version or in the Ultimate Edition version. The more you clean this up and the more you try and make it palatable for a new
Oh, come on.
factors as to why, at least on the PlayStation side, PlayStation gamers are rejecting Gears of War. One of which is the conversation around it being, it should have been a bundle deal. It's one of the things where most people thought they were going to be getting a Gears of War trilogy. When they were asked to pay for the game, that was a resounding, no, I'm not going to be doing that. But the assumption Gears 2 and then Gears 3, even though they just have the same versions that were around when they first released. On Xbox, they're touched up automatically on the hardware side with HDR and better frame rates and whatever, and assumedly that would be what would come across. But is the general amount of money that is being asked for just one Gears of War game, and it's the version from 10 years ago, is that just not palatable at all? Did Microsoft and Xbox just think that by saying Gears of War is available on PlayStation, that would be enough, regardless of how much Gears you were actually going to be getting? There's also the conversation on multiplayer. One of the big selling points of Gears of War, not to me, I'll get back to my thoughts in a minute, is multiplayer. A lot of people absolutely love Gears of War multiplayer. Like I said, this version in Reloaded runs at 120 frames a second. However, I personally don't think that Gears of War multiplayer is something that is going to turn heads and get people in. Like, I absolutely love Gears of War. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time, but not for the multiplayer. I'm very much that person who thinks that Gears of War multiplayer is just dodge rolling up to a dude and doing the shotgun and then moving to the next person. That was the only experience I ever had with Gears multiplayer. I think that's the exemplary Horde mode, but that comes in Gears 2. So it's one of those things where if I was going to recommend Gears multiplayer and co-op sessions and all that kind of stuff, even with the campaign co-op, it would be the Horde mode, which is in the next installment. It's not something that's money and thinking on the PlayStation side. what's the big deal with Gears of War? It isn't necessarily going to sell you an entire package when it comes to the multiplayer side of things, depending on how you come down on that gameplay. There's also that wider conversation on cover shooters in general. You know, for the most part on the PlayStation side, cover shooters aren't really a designated genre anymore. Cover shooting is a thing in the likes of Uncharted, The Last of Us, other premium Sony first-party titles, but we haven't really had a stop-pop take cover shooter in the vein of a Gears of War since, you know, it's been a long time. Take your pick, like, you know, various titles on the Sony side that incorporate cover shooting, like I said, the Uncharted or whatever, they never made it their core focus. In Gears of War's case, that is what you are going for. And that was the thing that blew us all away back in 2006. The idea that you could just go cover to cover, play the angles game with enemies, a different nice variety of weapons and enemy types and everything else. That was what got you through. That was what Gears of War's big allure was. And you could argue that PlayStation saw all of that progress, saw all of those lessons learned, and then implemented them into their own franchises and did cooler things with them going forward. It didn't necessarily make the gameplay as bolted to cover as a dedicated cover shooter would be. There is, like I said, that argument that Gears just feels too fundamentally old. I'm fundamentally old, and I love me some Gears, so maybe nostalgia is blinding me, but maybe if you're new to the party, you try this out and you go, to be honest, it doesn't have that much flow to it compared to other Sony first-party titles or other third-person shooters that have come since, and that's just what you were after, and you're not getting it from the Honda Civic behind me is next level awesome. And it's a hybrid. It's game on with a 200 horsepower hybrid powertrain. Plus, it comes in a notch. And this is how it's right now. Yes, all cover shooters just too fundamentally old. Like, I absolutely love Battlefield Infantry, but in regards to its third-person gameplay, that is another pretty dedicated third-person cover shooter. And yet again, the gameplay side of that is the least talked about thing when recommending that game. Lastly, if we're talking about Xbox's overall push to be multi-platform, then we have to talk about the reality or the idea of Gears of War being on Switch, and would that have been a bigger deal? You know, it's very obvious that Xbox right now does not have the market share compared to the amount of consoles that are shipped on the PlayStation or on the Nintendo side. Right now, this generation has pivoted into a Sony and Nintendo fronted generation. Microsoft themselves said as much when they were on trial trying to acquire Activision and Blizzard, and they just literally had to get out there and try and convince the judges and all the legal bodies that they could acquire such a massive studio because they were so far behind that it wouldn't really matter. That was their whole part of their whole argument. Was we're doing this really badly, we've fallen behind so much, we're not going to produce this monopoly on the industry because we're so far in third place anyway. And so if you roll that back around, would the conversation around Gears of War being on a Nintendo platform be a bigger deal in the modern day than Gears of War finally coming to PlayStation? I did think that on the day that everything crossed over, like I said, when Helldivers went to Xbox and Gears came over, there was a nice amount of buzz on that day, on social media, on your Reddits, everything else, on the news platforms, saying like, oh, this is cool, this thing exists, but I don't then think that translated over, at least it definitely didn't on the PlayStation side, to I'm going to give this a chance. And whether that was the price point, whether that was the amount of game being offered, just one game versus the whole trilogy, or whatever else you want to point to, right now, the idea that a Gears of War game, you know, isn't dominating. If you're an Xbox diehard or you've followed the franchise for this long, that is just kind of crazy. To wrap things up as well, you know, going forward, the two big deals in Xbox history were always Gears of War and Halo. Over time, people can argue Forza, but if we're talking about the franchises that put Xbox on the map, it is absolutely, and Halo's the big one, you know, or it was. You know, to the point where even on the inside of every Series X, and I think Series S as well, there is a small thing.
Hello?
Carl,
Yeah?
would you mind to put on your clothes and your sneakers to come outside to pick up your food for me?
Okay.
By the back door.
Alright.
Because I clearly cannot.
The console themselves. However, the treatment of these series over time hasn't been anywhere near as curated or special or whatever as it was right at the beginning. We all remember the complete debacle around Craig and Halo Infinite and the version of Halo Infinite that launched, the fact that they patched in co-op way later. Gears of War has been kind of all over the place in regards to its tonality and its storytelling. It's mopping up of different plot points from some of the older games in an attempt to sort of put one foot forward and one foot in the past to tie off stuff that's been in the past in regards to Queen Mirror, things that fans will care about, and they very much did as well. But then again, there is that conversation on the franchise longevity and what it means when Xbox doesn't really have Halo or Gears anymore. They are moving more and more into a third-party publishing space. They still have consoles for now, and they are going to be released.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode.
And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake, and today we're just doing a quick look. We jumped into Gears of War Reloaded this morning. 2006 is back again. This OG Gears of War 1 was actually remastered as Gears Ultimate Edition in 2015, and now that remaster is essentially back with more features, higher resolution, faster frame rates, more enhancements, and it's cross-platform. It's a release of an already solid remaster, but the big thing here is that it's now on PS5. That's what you see the footage here. We captured all our footage on PS5 with a DualSense controller. This is pretty historic. It's kind of why I wanted to make a video. I know there have been other Xbox titles on PlayStation now, Forza, Indiana Jones more recently, but Gears was an Xbox mainstay for such a long time. Now, the only thing in my mind bigger than this is Halo. It really seems like the floodgates are open because this is like a full handshake. By that I mean it's just like a back and forth, give and take. Everybody's working with one another. I fired up this Gears of War. I was able to then, on this PlayStation, log into my Microsoft account. And then with all of that, there is cross-platform, cross-progression, cross trophies and achievements. It's pretty wild to see go down. If you're crazy enough playing with PS5, you can jump over to Xbox and have all your multiplayer progress, campaign progress carry over, trophies, all that stuff. And then when you play online, you can play with people on PC, Xbox, PS5, whatever. I just wanted to put that all up front, right out of the gate, because I think that is the most exciting, most interesting part about this re-release. It's just cool to see more people getting access to more games, I think is good. And I also think a lot of people are finally going to be exposed to Gears of War that haven't. So I will say that, a lot of people are asking, with so many other games out there, why try Gears of War in 2025? Why now? Well, it is a throwback game, of course, but I still think it holds up incredibly well. After a couple hours of multiplayer, I was locked in, and it was sweaty palms, blurred vision, just zeroing in on this twitchy, crazy gameplay. Gears of War is essentially a cover-based, chunky, third-person shooter. It's pretty straightforward. It's all about ducking behind chest-high walls, getting the drop on your enemy, shotgunning them in the face, chainsawing them, or just shooting them. When it first came out, it had campaign and multiplayer, and the campaign really won people over for its memorable characters and cool moments. I gotta say, with Gears of War, it's very much like, it just kind of looks like bro-y shooter. Like, you're just big, chunky, brute guys, and there's blood and guts everywhere. But, like, honestly, the campaign, the story, has a lot of heart, memorable characters that you're actually gonna feel for, a squad that sticks with you, and just so many moments that I honestly think haven't really been replicated in a lot of games. The action is unparalleled here, but also just the level of fun sci-fi shit. The types of creatures, the Locust Army, the vehicles, the weapons, the technology, the actual surrounding culture of this planet. All that lore is there, all of it is interesting, and there's a reason why Gears went on to make more games, but also had spin-off books, comic books and stuff, like comic books which you can actually unlock and access in the extras mode here. Gears of War was a whole thing. So yeah, I do think you should still experience it. You should use that all the time. Does it feel a little old in spots? Yeah, totally. After playing through some of the campaign, my biggest issues here, first of all, it was very wild getting used to playing the game on a DualSense controller. I was just so used to the muscle memory on Xbox. You can tell I'm not very accurate, but my only real issue was that sometimes the squad AI just seemed worse than I remember. Like, Dom would get stuck. People would take cover in weird positions, leaving themselves out in the open. They would kind of try and clip their way through doorways that a character didn't push open yet. Just weird glitchy stuff where it's like a remaster of an old game. That should all be working completely fine. It was nothing crazy. It didn't break the game or anything, but it was just a little annoying to see. Along with that, the only other thing is the color palette. Like, this color palette, it happens with all remasters, remakes. We talk about it a lot, but like, the original color and feel and dark and grime is not really here. It's definitely brightened up. It's cleaned up. It's still gritty and grimy and overall grayer than your average game, but it doesn't have that exact quite look or feel as the original. Kind of think of like the change from Elder Scrolls Oblivion to the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster they released a couple of months back. Still, what you do get here is playing the game in 4K at 60 frames per second. 60 frames per second in the campaign on console is really, really good to see. The game does have a lot of options in terms of like accessibility, video, audio settings, and I was able to take advantage of my 120 hertz refresh rate on my TV. And yeah, the game absolutely screams. I didn't have any hitches or anything like that. It seems like it's pretty smooth. Again, I always say I'm not the frame counter, I'm not the pixel counter, I'm not Digital Foundry, but going by feel, it seemed good. It's sharper, faster, higher quality, and the game looks really detailed. And also, the art style for 2005 just really translated well to higher resolution, better textures, all that. It's actually a beautiful game. The campaign has multiple difficulty modes. It's worth trying out a lot of them. You can play through them all with a friend, and probably like between 8 to 10 hours. But again, the difficulty mode really kind of adds a good extra bit of replayability, because playing it on a hard difficulty really does change the game. And what's always really made it fun for me is the fluid yet chunky cover system, really interesting weapons, good gore and brutality, gameplay that emphasizes like some muscle memory and really getting the twitch-based jumping from cover to cover movement going, and just playing aggressively. And that carries over to the multiplayer, which, as you can tell here, I am totally rusty, and I think that says a lot to the player base. Last time I was really playing and getting kind of good was Gears 5, but I had played so much Xbox 360 Gears multiplayer back in the day, so some of that instinct is still there, but clearly day one, like all the people jumping on now are people who probably already have loved the franchise forever, and it shows that they've been keeping their skills fresh. I have been getting smoked, headshotted, domed, up-close shotgun with the Nasher. Like, it's everything Gears of War you expect to happen to you has been happening already. It seems like the community has really taken to this one. They're getting the meta. And yeah, I was only able to experience so much of this because I only had a couple of matches where I was good, but that's kind of the addictive nature here. You're going to get into matches where you're just absolutely dumpstered, like I was, constantly. Then every once in a while, you'll get a good match where you feel confident, you feel like the ultimate badass, literally just exploding dudes right in front of you. it's that give and take, that push and pull, that win and lose. It just makes this game feel like you just want to, just one more match. That's what's always been it for me. And impressively, the multiplayer suite is not like half-assed here. You have social matches, you have competitive matches. You can also do private matches with full choices of like different rules and maps. You get to set everything. Along with that, there's ranking, you level up. There's different little fun gun skins and character skins you can use. And despite it being like fully featured and having everything you're probably looking for in terms of all the modes, King of the Hill, the 2v2, the Snasher modes, like all the stuff that people want, I also just appreciate that they didn't try and force in like a battle pass or all this new complex progression or monetization. All of it's pretty straightforward. You win, you do good in matches, you rank up. The game isn't trying to ask you to buy anything else, and I don't know. I know it's an old game, so they're not going to do that as much, but like I just appreciate that it is still just what it is. Matches can be incredibly intense, and like I said, if you find yourself just getting absolutely destroyed, just ran over, stick with it, follow people, see what they do, and eventually you'll probably get the ins and outs of navigating cover, when to retreat, when to just get up close and nasher someone in the face. Because this game has some of the best shooting, some of the best hip firing ever, still, like it hasn't been topped, and I do really think it's worth experiencing if you like third-person shooters, but you're a little bit of a multiplayer junkie. But again, too, to go back and really kind of round things up, there's that campaign that just really hits. Marcus Phoenix is a great character. Dom is really the heart of the crew. Coltrane and Barrett, like, they're just great. You like everybody with you. Even Carmine, God rest his soul.
We didn't beat Marcus Phoenix. And Steel Fields.
But kind of seeing this world unfold in front of you, you start to understand it more. You understand, like, you're dropped into a world that's already been at war for like 14 years. This kind of fallen civilization. But also the cutscene direction and just the overall music is out of this world. The music still, I think, hits to this day. It really took me by surprise, especially playing with like the enhanced sound. I was like, damn, this music really hits. It's cinematic, it's over the top, but it's just right. It feels like it's built for a movie. So look, I know I'm kind of glazing Gears of War here, but like I think sometimes it's fun to just take a victory lap. I think it's cool that Gears of War is now on a new platform. And like I said, it seems like it's going to take a long time for me to get used to playing on a DualSense, but revving that chainsaw on a DualSense is really cool. And if you're not playing on PS5, you're just getting a fresher version of it on Xbox too. As much as I would like for some of that squad glitchiness to get fixed up, like I like what I'm seeing here so far. I'm looking forward to getting back to playing more. And that's probably what I'm going to do right now. So let us know in the comments what you think about Gears of War Revo. It's a brighter, shinier re-release, a re-release of a remaster. Yeah, I get that. But honestly, it's just a good experience.
There is a damn good reason as to why Gears of War grew into a massive internet.
So guys, I hope y'all are having a great day today, just full of so much positivity and happiness, dude, because today we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite video game franchises of all time, and that, of course, is none other than the legendary Gears of War. Now, back in the day when I was a young, hopeful, and happy middle school boy, there was one thing I wanted more than anything else in the world, and that was an Xbox 360. See, I was one of those unfortunate kids who was cursed with a PlayStation 3 instead of an Xbox 360 when everyone else I knew had an Xbox 360. And while they all got to play Halo, Gears of War, Fable, I got to play Uncharted and Killzone. And if you couldn't tell by the tone of my voice, that absolutely sucks. So in the year of 2011, I decided to save up the measly scraps of money I could scrounge together in order to save up to buy an Xbox 360 in time for the highly anticipated release of Gears of War 3, a game that absolutely blew my mind when I saw the E3 demo that prior summer. So I did everything in my power to save up enough money to eventually buy my Xbox 360, which I did. I got the Gears of War trilogy, and that was the very first game I played on my Xbox 360 when I got it. And Gears of War to me has always been an extremely special franchise, and given its current state, it absolutely breaks my heart to see, because Gears of War 4 and 5 are some of the worst sequels in the modern video game industry, and I like to refer to this as the Star Wars of gaming, because Gears of War 5 Disney and sequel trilogy of Star Wars. They may go look at those, come back. Parallels are absolutely insane, man. It's almost like it was planned from the beginning. But overall, Gears of War is one of those franchises that will always hold a special place in my heart. And the original Gears of War trilogy is definitely one of those games that I genuinely enjoy playing over and over and over again. Now, with that being said, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Reloaded, Remastered, Packaged Edition, whatever is simply a lazy, low-effort of the Xbox One version of Gears of War Ultimate Edition that you most likely have already played, because this is the third time this game has been released, and instead of actually going back and remastering, I don't know, Gears of War 2 and 3, games that have never gotten formal remasters other than a slight up-res and increased frame rate of the Xbox 360 versions that you play on the Xbox Series X, they really have been completely neglected, and there's no PC port of either of those games whatsoever. So Microsoft had the opportunity to do something truly innate, something potential. Gears of War for this collection, they chose to once again under-deliver in typical Xbox fashion and decided to do a lazy half-assed port of the Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Now, granted, there is no FOV slider in this game. The game has the same issues that the original release of Gears of War Ultimate Edition had on the PC, like not having a real borderless window mode, at least on my end, and overall is just another example of how Microsoft completely misses the mark or misses an opportunity to do something great. Fans have been asking for a Gears of War Remastered Trilogy collection since the Xbox One announced backwards compatibility in the first place, and especially since Xbox started putting everything on PC. PC players have not been able to play the Gears of War trilogy, but they've been able to play Gears 1, 4, and 5. Make that make sense. Why would you put Gears 1, 4, and 5 on PC, but not 2 and 3? And then why would you re-release a game on PC and Xbox that's already on PC and Xbox? But the real reason for it is because Xbox is going multi-platform now. And in order to get the PlayStation audience interested in Gears of War E-Day, they need to have some introduction into the Gears of War universe to get them to care in the first place. Because Gears of War 1 is basically the sequel to Gears of War E-Day. So in order to get people to care about Gears of War E-Day on PlayStation when it actually releases, they need to give people a taste of the franchise. And instead of giving people a literal masterpiece trilogy that would definitely get them interested, because if you play Gears 1, 2, and 3, you're going to want to play any game you can possibly get your hand on with Marcus and Dom in it. It's just another missed opportunity for Xbox, and this feels like a lazy, half-assed cash grab scam, as the internet likes to call it these days.
days. So I'm going to jump in on that one and completely misuse the definition of scam because why not? Everybody else does it at this point. So by all accounts, by YouTube logic, Gears of War Reloaded Ultimate Edition, whatever the fuck it's called, is definitely what I would consider to be a waste of your money and is really not worth buying in all honesty unless you really have an itch to go back and play some original Gears of War multiplayer that you have now played twice already at this point. Again, it would be different if they were re-releasing Gears of War 2 and 3, which have never gotten formal re-releases whatsoever. So it would be introducing a brand new audience of people who literally could not play Gears of War Trilogy on PC, for example. But to me, this just seems really lazy because there's no additional content compared to the Ultimate Edition. It's literally just a re-release, like a lazy re-release. Yes, if you own the game on PC or Xbox digitally, not how to get anything you want from your wife. Physically, you do get a free upgrade, but still, like, why are they not giving people the physical edition of this game a free upgrade? Why do they have to buy it again? Because even Microsoft is acknowledging that it's basically the exact same thing, and they're not making people pay for it twice. So again, this purely feels like a re-release in order to be a blatant cash grab, in order to get people on PlayStation to be interested in the Gears of War franchise because it has been dead for so long. Gears of War 4 and 5 have made sure to do a fantastic job of that. But as far as the game itself goes, I do really like Gears of War 1 still. Now, granted, I do think it is the weakest entry in the Gears of War trilogy. Now, granted, that's not really saying much because all three of the games are absolutely fantastic. But as far as campaign and multiplayer goes, I don't think it's my favorite in either category. I definitely prefer the multiplayer and campaign of Gears of War 3. That is definitely my favorite one. Gears of War 2 being a very, very, very close second. And Gears 1, it's good for what it was at the time. It was a great entry point into the franchise, but the other two games evolved and better developed the ideas it originally had, as any good sequel should. So, again, I really wish this was a collection of Gears 1, 2, and 3 so that we could finally get a remastered form of those original Gears trilogy games that have never made their way to PC, that have never been re-released on console, properly upgraded, and also have never been played by the PlayStation audience, which Microsoft is now trying to target. I think it would have been a much more effective way to get people on PlayStation interested in the Gears of War trilogy, as well as Gears of War E-Day when it eventually releases, because now they're going to be able to play Part 1, but not Part 2, 3, 4, and 5, and also they're going to have to wait to play Gears of War E-Day, which, yeah, maybe that will translate into more people being interested, but there's also another twist to this as well, too, because Gears of War Ultimate Edition has been a thing on PC and Xbox for other platforms. The Gears of War Sweat community has basically concentrated on those two, and I think there really is a big risk of this game coming out and the multiplayer basically being dead for a few days, because what happened with Gears of War 4 and 5 is the games quickly died off because the usual pipeline for Gears of War is people come for the campaign and stay for the multiplayer. It's that typical 360 era campaign to multiplayer pipeline. Now, the issue with this is people over 18 years now, that's kind of crazy to think about, have been grinding out Gears of War. Like, these guys are absolute fucking magicians on the controller. They can wall bounce like God touched their shoulders himself, and they're perfectly bouncing between cover, immediately killing you with headshots, splattering you with the dasher. Like, it is some absolute wizardry. And once you witness it for the first time, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But the problem with that is you're going to have a lot of people who play this game and get absolutely like just shit on, or they don't even have a chance in hell to even try and get good because there's that massive skill ceiling now. So again, this isn't really going to do a great job of attracting anyone other than hardcore Gears of War players, as well as people who have never played the franchise before, which is going to result in a situation where you're going to have people who are absolute novices in this game and people who have never touched this ship before in their life and are probably not going to be touching it for very long because they're going to get frustrated with the multiplayer and eventually the multiplayer is so sweaty it's going to die. Now, granted, that can happen with any multiplayer, but I think it's especially the case and especially a risk in this particular instance because this game has been released into the original player. So if they would have re-released Gears of War 2, has a very dark, gritty feel to it. Now, granted, with the new Unreal Engine graphics that they've implemented in this re-release, I do think it loses a lot of that original, almost watercolor-esque.
Hey, can I get your phone number? I have a math test. Oh, I'm sorry, Louis.
Verizon's got a wonker sale on the new Samsung Galaxy S25. Get 10 minutes.
Excuse me, sir.
Wow, I can't believe I get to work here. Just gotta keep working here.
Excuse me, where we from? Where we from?
It's so horrible. I can't even.
यकीन नहीं करोगे मैंने 1900 सब्सक्राइबर्स इस दिन में. If your short videos get such views, then your shorts channel is definitely frozen. In this video, we'll not only show you how to unfreeze your shorts.
When I was on Wall Street, it was very fast paced. So when I
2 years ago, I started this faceless YouTube Shorts channel. Today, that
say something, not Italian.
Ano yun, no?